Kunja Vihari. So, see, Srila Prabhupada he actually challenged us, do you think you can follow me? But we couldn't follow, at least not right away. It took a while. He kept on chanting, and over time, we got it. Do you follow? Yeah. So that's the Krishna consciousness movement. We have to continue to follow, hear Srila Prabhupada continue, because we bring our own stuff, isn't it? Does it happen? Yeah. All right, so we'll chant it like that. Interesting to know that Srila Prabhupada didn't always chant Jaya Radha Madhava before class in the morning. Do you know that? What other songs did he sing? Anybody? I know. When he did Caitanya-caritāmṛta, he chanted. Sometimes in the morning he gave Caitanya-caritāmṛta class, and then when he had that class, he chanted Parama Karuna Pahudvijan Nitai Gora Chandra, and then we chanted that. So, anyway, it took 2 minutes, not too much. Okay, we'll chant. Jaya Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Baradhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamuna Tira Vana Chari Jamuna Tira Vana Chari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Gopi Jana Vallabha Giri Varadhari Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jashodanandana Braja Jana Ranjana Jamunatira Vanachari Jamunatira Vanachari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Radha Madhava Kunja Bihari Jai Om Vishnupad Paramahamsa Paribrajak Acharya Ashtottara Sutta Shishimar His Divine Grace A.C. Bhaktivedanta Swami Maharaj Prabhupada Ki Jai Ananta Koti Vaishnava Vrinda Ki Jai ISKCON founder Acharya Srila Prabhupada Ki Jai Namacharya Srila Haridas Thakur Ki Jai Prem Se Kaha Shri Krishna Chaitanya Prabhu Nityananda Shri Advait Gadadhar Shivashadi Gaur Bhakti Vrinda Ki Jai Shri Shri Radha Krishna Gopo Gopinath Shyam Kund Radha Kund Giri Govardhan Ki Jai Vrindavan Dham Ki Jai Navadvip Mayapur Dham Ki Jai Ganga Mai Ki Jai Jamuna Mai Ki Jai Tulsi Devi Ki Jai Bhakti Devi Ki Jai Shramaveta Bhakta Vrinda Ki Jai Gaur Premanande. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glories to the assembled devotees. All glory to Sri Sri Guru and Sri Gauranga Hari Hari Bol. Nama Om Vishnupadaya Krishna Prishtaya Bhutale Srimate Bhaktivedanta Swami Iti Namane. Namaste Saraswate Deve Gauravani Pracharine Nirbhishesha Shunyavadi Paschatya Deshatarine. One other comment about the Jaya Radha Madhava prayer. You know the last line, what's the last line? Yeah. And which A, or both A, which A in the Yamuna has the diacritic mark over it? This details, huh? The last one. How many say last one? How many say the first one? How many don't know? All right. That's a very interesting thing. You know, when the first songbook, Vaishnava songbook was printed, the first A in Yamuna had the diacritic mark on it. So, you know, I was a new devotee. I didn't know, maybe is that right? Because mostly you think of it's Yamuna, right? The last A diacritic mark. So I thought, well, maybe it's a mistake. You know, there's a couple mistakes here and there. It happens. So then later I searched, you know, now you have Vedabase where you can search. I searched all the Yamunas you could find in any of the scriptures, and there was not one Yamuna that had the first diacritic mark, the diacritic mark on the first A. So I thought, hey, maybe it's a mistake. But then I asked my senior godbrother, you know, Jayadvaita Swami, I said, actually, this is a very unique name of Krishna. Just like Vasudeva and Vasudev, you know, Vasudeva is Krishna's father, Vasudeva is the person who's from. So similarly, Jamuna Tira Vanachari, but Yamuna Tira Vanachari means that person who's walking along the bank of the Ganges. You follow? Yeah. So this is some special name, especially we find by Bhaktivinoda Thakur, he does this. So Yamuna Tira Vanachari. It's not a mistake, it was correct. I was wrong. Hare Krishna. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. Om Namo Bhagavate Vasudevaya. We are reading, studying, and discussing Srimad Bhagavatam, 3rd Canto, Chapter 23, text number 54. Indriya-artheṣu sajjantyā prasaṅgas tvayi me kṛtaḥ ajānantyā param bhāvam tathāpyascha abhayāya me indriya-artheṣu sajjantyā prasaṅgas tvayi me kṛtaḥ ajānantyā param bhāvam tathāpyastvah abhayāya me indriya-artheṣu sajjantyā prasaṅgas tvayi me kṛtaḥ ajānantyā param bhāvam tathāpyastvah abhayāya me. Please chant. Indriya-artheṣu sajjantyā tvayi me kṛtaḥ bhāvam That last line is a little tongue twister. Yeah, it's a hard one. Indriya-artheṣu sajjantyā prasaṅgas tvayi me kṛtaḥ ajānantyā param bhāvam tathāpyastvah abhayāya me indriya-artheṣu sajjantyā prasaṅgas tvayi me kṛtaḥ ajānantyā param bhāvam tathāpyastvah abhayāya me indriya-artheṣu sajjantyā prasaṅgas tvayi me kṛtaḥ ajānantyā param bhāvam tathāpyastvah abhayāya me. Vaishnavis. Indriya-artheṣu sajjantyā prasaṅgas tvayi me kṛtaḥ ajānantyā param bhāvam tathāpyastvah abhayāya me indriya-artheṣu sajjantyā prasaṅgas tvayi me kṛtaḥ ajānantyā param bhāvam tathāpyastvah abhayāya me. One more. Indriya-artheṣu sajjantyā prasaṅgas tvayi me kṛtaḥ ajānantyā param bhāvam tathāpyastvah abhayāya me indriya-artheṣu to sense gratification. Sajjantyā being attached. Prasaṅga affinity. Tvayi for you. Me by me. Kṛtaḥ was done. Ajānantyā not knowing. Param bhāvam your transcendent situation. Tathāpy nonetheless. Astu let it be. Abhayāya for fearlessness. Me my. Translation. Not knowing your transcendental situation, I have loved you while remaining attached to the objects of the senses. Nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you rid me of all fear. So would you like to repeat? Not knowing your transcendental situation, I have loved you while remaining attached to the objects of the senses. Nonetheless, let the affinity I have developed for you rid me of all fear. Purport by Srila Prabhupada. Devahūti is lamenting her position. As a woman, she had to love someone. Somehow or other, she came to love Kardama Muni, but without knowing of his spiritual advancement. Kardama Muni could understand Devahūti's heart. Generally, all women desire material enjoyment. They are called less intelligent because they are mostly prone to material enjoyment. Devahūti laments because her husband had given her the best kind of material enjoyment, but she did not know that he was so advanced in spiritual realization. Her plea was that even though she did not know the glories of her great husband, because she had taken shelter of him, she must be delivered from material entanglement. Association with a great personality is most important. In the Caitanya-caritāmṛta, Lord Caitanya says that sādhu-saṅga, the association of a great saintly person, is very important because even if one is not advanced in knowledge, simply by association with a great saintly person, one can immediately make considerable advancement in spiritual life. As a woman, as an ordinary wife, Devahūti became attached to Kardama Muni in order to satisfy her sense enjoyment and other material necessities. But actually, she associated with a great personality. Now, she understood this, and she wanted to utilize the advantage of the association of her great husband. Om Ajnana-timirandasya Jnananjana Shalakaya Chakshuranmilitam Jena Tasmai Shri Gurave Namah. You know, sometimes Srila Prabhupada, before speaking, would chant the whole Mangalacharan. You know that? Starting with this and then Vandeham, etc. But usually he didn't do it in the morning. Did you know that? It was in the evening time. I checked all the ones that I checked, Srimad Bhagavatam, usually he just right into the discussion for the morning class. Evening class he usually did. Interesting. So I'm not going to chant more shlokas. Just an explanation. This is an exemplary statement by Mother Devahūti. Yeah. She's such an exalted personality. How's that? She's the daughter of Swayambhuva Manu. And who is Swayambhuva Manu? He is one of the 12 authorized Mahajans, isn't it? Swayambhu, Narada, Shambhu, Kumar, Kapila, Manu, Prahlad, Janaka, Bhishma, Bali, Vyasaki, Bhayam. Yeah, there's 12 authorized, recognized Mahajans in this universe are authorities in the practice of devotional service. And so her dad is one of those authorities. So you can bet that she had some exposure to bhakti growing up, wouldn't it? Yes, certainly. So she's from an incredibly pious devotional background. And she was so beautiful that one of the denizens of heaven was flying in his airplane over the palace where she was playing. And you're laughing because you know what happened. What happened? He fell out of the airplane. And my godbrother Sadhaputi said, "What does that mean? What does that mean?" He said, "He wasn't wearing his seatbelt." Just for, and we don't know if he was wearing a parachute either. And the amount of opulence that she had was being the daughter of the emperor, one of the rulers of the universe, is practically, it's beyond any of our even imagination. And even though she had all this opulent position, qualities, upbringing, she renounced everything just to execute severe austerities to please her husband, Kardama Muni. And, you know, there's another great quality that you might know that Mother Devahūti had. Yes? She became the mother of God. You can imagine what kind of amazing qualities these are, you know. But in spite of that, she's saying, oh, I am attached to material sense gratification. This is pretty amazing. Srila Prabhupada equates it with, because she's from in the body of a woman. Of course, in Kali Yuga, I think we can make a blanket statement that pretty much everybody is attached to sense gratification. Would you agree? That's just me? Yeah. So Mother Devahūti is showing us a little bit of the way of how to make further progress in spiritual life by this showing us how to do it. Because even though she's so advanced and has a good background, she's still saying, I'm still attached to material sense gratification. That's a big deal. Queen Kunti, another great Vaishnavi, said similarly, Janmaishwarya Shruta Shibir Edhamana Mada Puman Naivarhatya Bidatum Vai Twam Akinchana Gochara. Those people who are on the path of Janma, Janma means good birth. Yeah? Aishwarya, wealth. Shruta, education. Shri, beauty. Yeah. Edhamana Mada. Mada means those of us who are intoxicated with these opulences. Mada means intoxicated. Naivarhati apidatum vai tvam akinchana gochara. They cannot approach Krishna with sincere feeling. Because why? Usually what happens is when a person has such qualities, we get puffed up, isn't it? You think? Yeah. And that's the danger of having these qualifications. And when you have opulences, you have position, you think you're good, then it's very difficult to approach Krishna with sincerity. And this is a big deal because one of the main obstacles for all devotees to make spiritual progress is false ego. Because as soon as we think we're doing very well, we're very good, there's no need to make any progress. Do you follow? If you're already good, great, then don't have to worry about things. You're cool. You don't have to improve. But actually, we all have a long way to go. And how will we get the sincerity to muster that effort to make further progress? Humility is required. And so Mother Devahūti is showing that humility in her relationship with Kardama Muni. She's saying, I just loved you because you're my husband. But now I didn't realize you were so transcendental. Now think about this. Think about this. She said she didn't realize he was so transcendental. This is the same husband who just created, a flying airplane and divided himself into nine persons, isn't it? Yeah, it's 9. It was 9. So she was witnessing that, and she was still, while this questioning was going on, she was still in that palace that was flying around the universe. And she's saying, I didn't realize your transcendental position. So what can you gather from that? How is it that she didn't realize his transcendental position when all this, she experienced all this? What's your answer? Huh? Yeah. I'm thinking about from her point of view, she saw all these wonderful mystic things that happened, and she's saying, I didn't understand how great you were. She did all these great things. How is that? Yes? Yes, exactly. These things were material perfections. But even though he exhibited all these mystic perfections, what was he about to do when she gave this prayer? When she gave this request to her husband? Leave. So that means he was going to leave because he had something better to do. You know, there's the expression, I've got nothing better to do. He had something better to do than just make mystic perfections. Just like Srila Prabhupada talked about his German godbrother scholar who went to India, you know this, in this Nectar Devotion, and said that there's ashtasiddhis. What are those ashtasiddhis? Anima, Lakima, Prapti, etc. But he said, all these siddhis have been perfected more or less by material science. Not all of them, but most of them. So he was more interested not in those siddhis, but in finding love of God. So at least Devahūti could understand there's something much better than these mystic siddhis that her husband was capable of giving her. Okay. So therefore she's saying, I'm still attached to my material sense gratification, like us, still attached to our material sense gratification. So then the next question is, well, if she's recognizing that her husband is great, has this transcendental spiritual bhakti available to her, why doesn't she just ask, Prabhu, please instruct me? What's your answer? Couldn't she just ask him, you instruct me? Why don't you instruct me? You follow. What's that? She's asking her husband indirectly to give her a son who will preach to her in the elevator so she still had some angle there of some, but this is, her attachment was beyond material. She wanted a son, and that son, Kapila Dev, would preach to her and bring her further on the path of spiritual progress. Anyway. So, you know, this idea of false pride, are there any other important devotees that you know, or examples of people who, even though they're very exalted, they take the position of being a sense gratifier and are playing to Krishna to please free them from sense gratification? Huh? How's that? Can you give an example?
So I was thinking of Srila Bhaktivinoda Thakur because he lived such an exemplary life, and if we look at his schedule, there is really no place for sense gratification. He was
That's true. Very good
sleeping
point.
for 2 hours. And
That's true. That's a very good point.
And then I was thinking of his prayers where he is lamenting that he is swallowed by I forgot the name of this gigantic fish.
Oh, Timingala.
Yeah, Timingala, fish of lust. So.
Yes, very good, very good. Gopinath, mama nivedeno shuno, vishaya durjana, sadakamarata. I'm vishaya, I'm a vishayi. Durjana means bad guy. Durjana, bad guy. Sadakamarata, I'm always racked by lust. This is Bhaktivinoda Thakur. Yeah. Any other persons? Good. I'm sure you know. Yes. Yes, same. She's praying, please free my connections to my kinsmen. Who are her kinsmen? Pandavas, yeah. So I can just focus on your lotus feet. Yeah. Anyone else? Any others? Yes. Yeah, all these. Sanatana Goswami. Sanatana Goswami approaches Lord Caitanya. He said, Nicha jati, nicha sangi, patita adhama. Nicha jati means I'm a low-born person. Was he a low-born person? He was born in the Saraswat Brahmin family. There's different categories of Brahmins. The Saraswat Brahmins are like tops. Nicha jati, nicha sangi. And my association is bad. Patita, I myself am low. Adhama, I'm lower, I'm very low. But he's getting the mercy of Lord Caitanya that way, you know? How about, I did a search about Srila Prabhupada, how he quotes various prayers by different acharyas, Vaishnava prayers. And, it wasn't an exact research, but I found that the most common prayer that Srila Prabhupada quoted in his lectures was one by Narottam Das Thakur. Maybe you know this one. Hari Hari Bipale Janma Gonainu Manushya Janma Paya Radha Krishna Nabhajiya Janiya Shunya Bish Kainu. Yeah. He says, even though I've born in this human form of life, Manushya Janma Paya Radha Krishna Nabhajiya. I'm not worshipping Radha Krishna, I've neglected. Janiya Shunya Bish Kainu. And even though I knew it was poison, and people told me it was poison, they warned me, don't take this. Still I took it. Bishkainu, I drank the poison. And then, Golokera Prema Dhan Harinam Sankirtan. This chanting of the holy names is coming from Goloka, Ratina Janmi Lokenetai, but I have no attraction for them. This is Narottam Das Thakur. Even Lord Chaitanya himself, when he described the Sri Krishna Sankirtan movement, prayer number 2, Nam Nama Kari Bahuda Nija Sarva Shakti. All your energies, all your potencies in these holy names. Tatrarpita Niyamata Smarane Nakala. And there's no hard or fast rules for chanting the holy name. Just a little thing. Doesn't mean there are no rules. Got it? Do you understand? If you think, some people interpret that as there's no rules in chanting Hare Krishna. Aren't there 10 offenses? Then you're supposed to follow the 4 regulative principles and stuff like that? Yeah, if you want to make progress, yes. But those rules are not hard and fast, which means, that's how Prabhupada translated it, that, it's not that you have to be following the 4 regulative principles to get somebody to chant, or to have to chant. They can chant even though. But if you want to reach the goal, there are certain rules you got to follow. They're not hard and fast. You follow what I'm saying? Yeah. Not hard and fast. Yeah, so then he says, Tathāpy tanyānva smarane nakala etadrashi tava kripa. So you've so mercifully given us this holy name, but nanuraga. I have no interest in it. I have no attraction for them. Lord Caitanya says, right? Lord Caitanya. And then, what's the very next verse he says? Isn't that interesting? Right after he says, I have no attraction for it, then the next thing he says, if you want to chant the holy name always. Now what does it mean to chant the holy name always? That means you got to have attraction for it, doesn't it? You can't, if you're not, have no interest or attraction for it, you can't chant all the time. So if you want to have attraction for chanting the holy name, what do you have to do? Huh? Yeah, you have to develop humility. Yeah, you got to have humility. Practice. Yeah, lower than the straw in the street, more tolerant than the tree, devoid of all sense of false prestige, ready to offer all respects to others. Yeah. So if we're seeing that Queen Mother Devahūti is having such wonderful qualities of humility, what is your experience or your understanding of humility and how you can apply it in your life? I'm asking. How it works for you. There's a saying, if you don't know how to do something, you teach somebody how to do it. If you don't know how to teach it, you teach how to teach it. So I'm in that position here about humility, just in case you didn't know. What? Yes, sir. Oh, I thought you raised your hand. Sarvabhauma Prabhu. This is my godbrother, Sarvabhauma Prabhu.
Well, it's not a full explanation. I was just going to say I'm proud of my humility.
Okay. Bhagavatam, yes.
Well, everyone always tries to say, the false ego, the false ego, the false ego. But if one also pays strong attention to cultivating the real ego, which is the real eternal service, devotional side of life, then I feel that's helpful.
Sure, false ego diminishes if we can develop the real ego of being eternal servant of Krishna. Very good, yes. Others. Yes, Prabhu.
To remember that I'm not the doer.
Yes, because we always, if we're the doer and we're thinking, next thing is we're the controller, isn't it? I'm controlling everything, yes. Very good, thank you.
When we chant our japa, we can be praying to Krishna, please empower me to please you. Please empower me to serve you nicely. And with that kind of modality in our chanting, then we're outside of that doer kind of concept. We jump out of that and we understand that we're just Krishna's instrument. And so we're praying for being his instrument.
Yes, thank you. Very good, very good. Yes.
I find that being a little self-reflective, so if I'm being criticized or if I'm being given an instruction, to really understand how I can improve my bhakti by following that.
Yes, very good. So I did some research and tried to understand what Prabhupada's definition of humility is. And he defines it different ways in different times, as you probably know. In this Bhagavad Gita, in the 13th chapter, there's a definition of humility, which you might know. What is that? Yes? Not anxious to get recognition or praise from others. Yeah. And then my godbrother Hari Vilas, Hari Vilas, he's in Seattle now. He said that one time he asked on a morning walk, Srila Prabhupada, what is humility? And Srila Prabhupada, he said, being absolutely convinced that nothing but Krishna can save you. Not your bank balance, not your relatives, not your health, nothing. That's what he said. And then reflecting on what you said, Prabhupada in a letter to Mother Malati, who you might know, Mother Malati, early devotee, she was saying how she's not a very good devotee and she doesn't know how to be humble. And Prabhupada writes, this is humility. This is humility. Not thinking that you're good and that you have a lot of progress. This is really an important part of humility, to think, I got to make progress in my life. I'm not at a good stage right now. I got to make further progress. In the material world, in the, say in the area of sports, anybody ever do sports here? Yeah, a few people, yeah. So when you do sports, they have they want to get to the really high level of performance. They got a coach, isn't it? And what does the coach do? Yeah. And not only that, but they give you feedback, right? And then they take pictures of how you're doing things and they check it and to see, and all to make sure that you're doing the exact best you are, best you can do. How about in Krishna consciousness? Are we ready to get feedback? Are you ready to get feedback? Am I ready to get feedback about are we? I don't know. I taught a class in graduate psychology, and it was required in this class that the students would give an anonymous review at the end of the semester. Why anonymous, you ask? Why anonymous? Because, if I get a bad review and I say, oh, it's this person, I'll give them a bad grade, right? Follow, yeah. Anyway, so anonymous review. And some of them were very nice, but some of them were really tough. But by hearing what their people were saying, I could improve. So part of humility, yes, it's being open to hear from those at least you trust are have your best interest in mind. How can you improve? How can we improve devotional service? You know, there's so many areas of devotional service. You mentioned japa, and there's kirtan, and there's giving class. If you want to give me feedback afterwards, I'll be open to it, I think. I hope so. At least that's the idea I'm presenting here anyway. Yeah, class, cooking, deity worship, all these, doing distribution, book distribution on Sankirtan, all these things. How can you improve? And we got a long way to go. Because if we were actually at a high level, we'd be in touch with Krishna and Srila Prabhupada. So this is really a big deal. Anyway, we'd be in touch with Krishna, yeah. So there's this principle is there in the Upadeshamrita, you know, dadati pritiganati guyamakati prichtiti. Guyamakati prichtiti means, you know, revealing your mind and inquiring confidentially. And what are you revealing your mind about? How can you make progress in spiritual life? How can I get better? And if you look in the Nectar Devotion, there's a whole list of items of how to perform devotional service. You remember these? Nectar Devotion? There's first 10 and then another 10. You know, there's the first 5 of the first 10. Do you remember any of them? What's that? Yeah, but it's specifically taking shelter of a bona fide spiritual master, following and learning to execute devotional service by the spiritual master, being initiated by the spiritual master, right? And then one very interesting one is inquiring how to make progress from the spiritual master. Inquiring how am I going to make progress in my spiritual life? This is so. Sometimes we get, if you're like me, we get shut off. But to be open to improvement, that's a big deal. Okay. Then there was one other part of this purport I wanted to talk about. That she wasn't aware of Kardama Muni's transcendental qualities. Does this happen in spiritual dealings, that we sometimes don't recognize the spiritual elevated position of those we interact with? Yeah. Any examples? I mean, Jad Bharati? Yeah, where he was dealing with King Rahugana. Yeah. So he was, the king had no idea what this was, a great soul carrying his palanquin. Yeah. Yes. Gadadhar Pandit and Pundarik Vidyanidhi. Yes. There's Nalakuver and Manigriva. And Narad Muni. Yes. I'm thinking of one really basic situation. Yes. Oh yeah, the villages. That's a little bit. Yeah, that's the Yogamaya part a little bit, but it's true. That's true. How about in Bhagavad Gita? Arjuna, he says, this is the universal form. Oh, I thought you were my friend. I was treating you as my friend, and we were laughing and joking together. But now you're the Supreme Personality of Godhead. Oh, same a little bit. But so that's part of it. And I would say, I'll make a little bit of a controversial statement here, okay? You can call me on this one. I would say that in ISKCON, we didn't fully recognize Srila Prabhupada's incredibly exalted position, even when he was with us. What is my evidence for that? In 1974, there was Srila Prabhupada was introduced the prayer Shri Guru Charana Pada. Before that, we didn't chant that during the greeting the deities after that, but he introduced that. And when he came to New York, when we first chanted it for him in 1974, he said repeatedly, not just one time, but several times, he said, "You're saying this prayer every day, but you don't know the meaning," he said, repeatedly. And we said, oh, I know because we would recite the lotus feet of the spiritual master, the only way which we can, we would recite that. So we thought we knew the meaning, but do we know the real depth of that meaning? No, we didn't. We thought, oh, Srila Prabhupada, the greatness of Srila Prabhupada, we didn't fully appreciate, actually. There's a verse in the Srimad Bhagavatam, and no acharya that I know says this, but I'm going out on a limb saying this, that predicts, Srimad Bhagavatam predicts Srila Prabhupada's appearance. Kirata hunandra pulinda pulkasha abhira shumba yavana kasadaya yenye chapapa yudupashrayashraya shudyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha. You know this one? Very famous verse. Kirata. Kirata means hunters. Huns. Who are the Huns? Like Attila the Hun? The Huns. Kirata pulinda pulkasha. These are the Greeks. Abhira. Shumba, Yavana, the Turks, Kasadaya, Chinese people, Yenye-chapa, and Yenye-chapapa, and other sinful people, Shudyanti tasmai prabhavishnave namaha, yadu pashrayashraya. They all become purified by taking shelter of someone who's taken shelter of Krishna. Yadu pashrayashraya. Oh, all these different people around, all these different species of different people around the world, by taking shelter of someone who's taken shelter of Krishna, they're all purified. Who else did that? Do we know? In their lifetime. Did anybody else that you know? Did anybody? No. So I'm saying, I said I was going out on a limb, that this verse is a prediction of Srila Prabhupada's activities. In his lifetime, he purified all these different generations of people. So, in 1975, we went to Hyderabad, right after the Gaur Purnima festival. There was a brief stop in Hyderabad, and then we went to Vrindavan. Srila Prabhupada was there, and he gave a big pandal lecture, thousands of people there, and it was very powerful how he was speaking. He was speaking on the teachings of Maharaj Rishabdev. And they were talking, this is South India. So in South India, Srila Prabhupada was rattling off powerful verses, so many. He would quote verses a lot, but he was quoting more than I ever heard. Mahat sevam dwara mahur vimukte tambotvaram yoshitam sangi sangam. And just by hearing these verses, people were getting energized, powerful vibrations. And the system they had there was somebody would ask a question by filling out a paper, and then it would be read. So one of the persons, they filled out a paper and they gave it to Achyutananda Swami, and he read the question. It was, Swamiji, if you're really a spiritual person, can you show us a miracle? You've heard this before, no? Can you show us a miracle, Swami? And Swami and Srila Prabhupada said, yes. Are you blind? Are you so blind that you don't see the miracle? You see all these people? They were all involved in all kinds of sinful activities before, but now they're all serious devotees of Lord Caitanya. This is Lord Chaitanya's miracle, he said. And devotees went, Jai! It was very exciting to be there at that time. So anyway, that shows the same, it explains the same verse. Kirata hunanda pilinda pulkasha. Okay. So, Hare Krishna. So, openness to, another aspect that we sometimes miss, we don't realize the potency of, as we don't appreciate the full potency of the holy name. We chant every day. But actually, if we chanted it very nicely with great devotion, then immediately we'd have in touch with Krishna. Yeah. Oh yes, Hare Krishna.
Sometimes we
Very true. Exactly. Lord Caitanya says, Je bhaje, you know this one? Je bhaje sheboro. You never heard this one? Very simple. Je bhaje, who is a devotee, Je bhaje sheboro. They're great. What is your point? Je bhaje sheboro. Abhakta hin char. And a non-devotee, not so great. Krishna bhajan onahi jati kuladi bichar. Even, but a person who's a Vaishnava, we don't consider their birth or background anything, because they're great. They're worshipping Krishna. Good point. Thank you. Hare Krishna. One point I would like to make also is, we were talking previously about humility and how to develop humility and one very surefire way to increase your humility is to go on Sankirtan and to distribute Srila Prabhupada's teachings to other people, because there's no better way, because you'll be treated very poorly. Not as much as India. In America or other, it's part of it. And if you don't keep your sincere desire to serve Lord Caitanya and the Srila Prabhupada, it'll become a mess. So in the midst of that, to continue to try to do that service, Krishna will give you, in order to continue, he'll bless you with some humility to continue to make progress in spiritual life. Hare Krishna. It says here I'm supposed to leave time for questions. Yeah, Hare Krishna. Well, there's more than one question. That's good.
This is a comment. There's another prediction. Some devotees have probably heard me say this, but this is from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana. And it was something that was unknown to most devotees until the 1996 global Vyasa Puja book was published. Lokanath Swami wrote the introduction, and ISKCON scholars discovered this this reference. And we know we've heard Prabhupada often spoke about the golden age of Krishna consciousness, but how it unfolded. And this, the pastime from the Brahma Vaivarta Purana is that Ganga Mataji comes to Krishna and says, Krishna, I'm in so much anxiety. You're about to leave your earthly pastimes. Already so many sinful people are bathing in my waters. What will I do after you leave and Kali Yuga fully manifests? So many people, what am I going to do with all these sinful reactions? And then Ganga Mataji says, Prabhupada, Krishna says, Ganga Mataji, don't be in anxiety. In 5,000 years, my mantra Upashaka will manifest. He'll spread Krishna consciousness all over the world, make many pure devotees. They will bathe in your waters and free you from these sinful reactions. Srila Prabhupada ki jai.
Thank you. Thank you. Very nice.
I just wanted to tell you a little Sankirtan story that was very humiliating. I was trying to get a Christian to understand that he shouldn't eat meat, and he was getting more and more agitated, and all of a sudden he starts screaming in the street, she's a demon, she's a demon.
Dear Prabhu, thank you for that wonderful class. Hare Krishna. I have had this question asked, and my puny earth brain can't give a really good answer. Devahūti saw that her husband was going to leave for spiritual perfection. In the course of this Leela, the Supreme Personality of Godhead appears to be her son. So the question I've been asked, why would Kardama then have to leave?
Good question.
God's right there. Was he going to find God? So
I don't know. I don't know.
that's
It's a
what
very good question. It's a very good question. I don't know if anybody else has a comment on that. I certainly don't. Yes? Okay. Because a different rasa? I mean, of course, these are, we're involving a little bit speculation, but...
I can say one thing that Jayapataka Maharaj told me on this question.
Good, good, good.
He said Kardama still wanted to show that you don't stay in the Grahastha ashram forever.
Yes,
That's what he was thinking.
yes. Thank you, thank you. Kavichandra Maharaj is there, I didn't see him before.
Hare Krishna. Yeah, and it was, he said that before he married, he's going to leave.
That's true.
But also it's set up for Kapila Muni to preach to Devahūti. She had to take shelter of her son. If he'd been there, then that wouldn't have happened.
That's true.
Regarding his first recording, Prabhupada, Hare Krishna. Ajahn, and he said, Hari Hari, be polite.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Sangsara Bishanale Dibani Shihi Ajvare. I'm burning all
The Bhagavatam, like, this thing is really going in and out. So.
Sorry.
But he left home so that chapters of Kapila teaching, very important, Prabhupada special lectures on those chapters. So we have that book.
Teachings of Lord Kapila, son of Devahūti. Yeah. Thank you, Maharaj. Sarvabhauma Prabhu.
Okay, just one question, and did you ever hear Prabhupada said on how to become humble? He said by being bold for Krishna. And the second is the invitation every day except Tuesday in front of the TOVP office. There's a 2-hour wonderful, wonderful kirtan. It's especially an invitation for you while you're here.
Tuesday, at what time?
Except Tuesday,
Oh.
5:15 till 7 in front of the TOVP office.
Right over here.
Yes, it's fantastic. What about the quote, being humble means to be bold for Krishna?
Yes. Yes. I think that's Srila Bhaktisiddhanta had something along those lines. I don't remember Prabhupada saying that, but I think I read it in the Sri Bhaktisiddhanta Vaibhava. Yes, Prabhu.
Hare Krishna. Prabhuji, you explained a very important point about during your time, Prabhupada disciples didn't understand the glories of actual glory of Srila Prabhupada. So in our case, how do we avoid that mistake, that fault, that not understanding the transcendental position of Prabhupada or our Guru? So how do we avoid this situation? Can you please throw some light?
I could give suggestions, and my godbrothers probably could give suggestions as well. I know it's 9 o'clock and I'm supposed to end. I would just say that by regularly studying Prabhupada's books, but also there's so much more available to devotees now about Srila Prabhupada's teachings. You know, for a while the letters weren't available. For a while so much of the lectures weren't available. Prabhupada's dealings in, his personal dealings with devotees was not understandable, was not available. Now all that is very, very available, and we can take the time to hear about it and try to study it and understand it. I mean, I know in Los Angeles, early on, I don't know, maybe you were there, Sarvabhauma, I don't know. that a lady asked, a guest asked, is Joan of Arc in the Srimad Bhagavatam? You know Joan of Arc. Is she in the Srimad Bhagavatam? And Srila Prabhupada gave a very interesting answer. He said, if she's a devotee, she's in this. So, because Srimad Bhagavatam is, devotees interact with Krishna. Yes. So, Srila Prabhupada's activities are concomitant with Srimad Bhagavatam as well. And it's very appropriate because it's very modern here. So, to fully appreciate, we have a better opportunity, even now. And so, that's why, Srila Prabhupada would say during Srila Bhaktisiddhanta Saraswati Thakur's appearance day, he said, the grandfather is more kind to the grandchildren. Yeah. So similarly, Srila Prabhupada would be more kind to you. Take advantage. Hare Krishna. Hare Krishna. Thank you so much. Panchakalpatarubhyascha kripa sindhubhye